welcome to Golden Goal TV. Slightly different introduction from me today, but I'm going to hand you all over to the wonderful host, Georgie. Georgie?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Basically, if you're wondering why I do that, it's basically because I'm blind. I can't hear when anything's happening, and I fall to pieces when Hubert's not here, so that's basically why.
George, don't put yourself down, mate.
But yeah, good evening. We are back with our second FPL show. So we have an interesting guest. He loves bantering me about Arsenal and stuff, but we will come to him after we hear our intro by the lovely Lottie.
Thank you, George.
Kicking way to do so. It's him. Back to Balotelli. It runs for Aguero. They've done it!
Hazard still on the ground as Charlie Adam goes for goal here. Oh, and he scored!
And was by Stones. And Ross Townsend!
A field of minutes. And Aaron Ramsey starts and ends an immaculate.
Trying to find a way through.
Okay,
And
I hope
we
everyone
are back, I think.
Yeah, we are, Georgie.
I've worked out a way. So when I can talk, it says mute, and when I can't talk, it says unmute. So I just have to follow it like that. So, but thank you. So, like I said, good evening again. Welcome. This is the second show that we've got that we've had. So we'll briefly talk about the last game week. We'll talk about Darwin Núñez losing his head, literally, and what future stuff you can do to replace him with. To bring in for him, and we'll go from there and we'll go with the comments, and we'll just roll with it today. So I just want to welcome, obviously, Lottie. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm alright, George. I've not been home long. Decided to put a picture up on my wall and noticed there's a load of cat hair under the glass, so I had to take it all apart. But no, safely up on my wall, so quite pleased about that. How are you, Georgie?
Yeah, I'm all good. I had nightmares with trying to get tickets this week. Arsenal-Liverpool tickets are got for someone's birthday. Don't know who it is.
Oh, I wonder who that could be.
But 2.5 hours on hold trying to get us Liverpool tickets. I hope you're bloody satisfied.
George, come on, it's my birthday. Thank you.
For Liverpool and Spurs tickets in the last 2 weeks, I've been on hold to Arsenal for 4.5 hours, and they don't even have the music on anymore. It's ridiculous. Like, they just tell me you are number 20 something in the queue. I don't care.
At least you don't have to listen to Top Loader Dancing in the Moonlight. I still
I
can't
would
listen
like
to that.
It passes the time. Like, I could listen to about 3 or 4 albums the time I'm on there. So, but apart from that, it's been all good. Obviously, we're doing a Premier League fantasy show, so we thought we'd bring a Watford fan on. Oh, no, sorry, they're not in the Premier League. How you doing, Johnny?
I'm good.
Who are you supporting this week? Is it Man United?
Well, don't talk to me about Man United. They're my Premier League team. They're not doing any better, are they? So,
I think I'd stick to Watford, mate.
Yeah, well, they're more exciting to watch at the moment. So,
obviously, I know it is kind of to do with fantasy, but what's your opinions on Pedro going to Newcastle? Look like.
I mean, he'll be an all right option. I don't know if he'd necessarily get straight into the first 11.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think he'd be a massive option for fantasy because, I mean, even when he was at Watford, he was probably only really an option for maybe 6 or 7 game weeks last season.
Yeah, so, I don't even think it's that much of a big loss for Watford, if I'm honest. Like, he's a good player, but I think it's like 20-30 million. Watford could use that well to bring in a couple of non-Watford players, if you get what I mean.
I did hear some rumour about Ismail Assar as well, possibly leaving, but
he's always baffled me because he's always been oh, he's that good because when he obviously scored against Liverpool, didn't he? When they were going were trying to get the unbeaten, and he was pretty good as an Sar, but it just don't seem like anyone really fancies it. He reminds me a bit like Traore. Like everyone banged on for weeks and months for about Adama Traore, and just no one ever went in to get him.
Yeah, well, I think it was Crystal Palace who said they're interested in him, which
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
a
think it
big
would
jump for Sarr, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, well, I think it'd be a good move, but I'd be a bit sad to see him go.
A bit of a drop though, seeing there's teams like Liverpool are apparently going to go for him. So anyone's better than Zaha. So
I think he'd take playing at Palace at the moment. They're playing some decent football.
Yeah, cool. So obviously, thank you to everyone that is watching and stuff. If you've got any questions about FPL stuff, just drop it in the comments and Lottie will read it out. So we'll talk about the last game week. This is annoying.
So, you know exactly what's coming, don't you, Jordan?
So I'll start with my one. I was doing okay, and then Liverpool played. So, like many people, I had Darwin Núñez.
I didn't.
Now I do not have Darwin Núñez, so it shows what. But as we will come into the show, as the show goes on, I will tell you who I brought in, and Lottie's probably going to think George has done a proper.
Please don't tell me it's a Tottenham player.
You will not cut. I will not. I'm not like you.
Come on, you Spurs.
No.
Oh, get in the bin.
I do not. I will not have any of that lot in my team. I just can't do.
Hey, Salah went missing. I needed the points.
But he won't go missing against United, so that's fine.
Oh God, no, never.
So, I think I ended up on 56, which it's not too bad. But Matty Cash got a knock, so that didn't work out. Bailey didn't do nothing. So,
George, you did get 56.
Yeah, I think it's just glad. I'm just glad Arsenal played. I think I've got like 30 odd points on my Arsenal players. So, how did you do, Johnny?
I finished on 66 points, which isn't too bad. Not too
Higher
bad.
than your IQ,
the table out of the three of us. Well done.
Oh, I did make one mistake, which I was a bit annoyed about, because I played Leon Bailey over Reece James.
Oh no!
And it was going all right, wasn't it? Because Reece James was playing at right centre back.
It's not as bad as what I've got. So, oh no!
I had Nico Williams on my bench instead of Matty Cash, and so that was 7 points already on my bench.
Yeah, I think that's the most annoying thing, isn't it? When you're kind of tossing it up, shall I play them, shall I not? And then you think they're playing Spurs, so he's not going to get he's unlikely to get a clean sheet, but of course he goes with the scores when you bench him. But
yeah, that was I know a few people that put some of their like Chelsea assets on the bench because you kind of expect Harry Kane or Son to score, don't you, or Kulusevski or whoever. I would say Richarlison, but he's on the floor half the time, so you wouldn't know. But yeah, Reece James, that's an interesting one. I think people that had Cucurella as well would have done all right, but I know a couple of people from the Golden Goalie that actually had him on the bench. So,
although, wasn't it the Harry Kane goal? That should have gone down as a Reece James own goal, shouldn't it?
Yeah, think of yourself. I don't see. It
was an own goal,
but it was on target, so that's why it wouldn't have been given as an own goal. But FPL wise, people will be thinking, thank God for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it was already on target, I think that's why they don't give own goals. Like it shouldn't have been a goal in the first place, but that's different. We've done that last week.
That's a different debate.
So, Lottie, how did you do?
Well, I'm still a point ahead of you, George. So, I'm happy. 2 weeks in a row.
Because I didn't captain Jesus. Because I didn't captain Jesus.
Oh, I thought I captained Haaland, and it turned out I captained Salah. So I'm well pleased. I didn't realise I changed it back. So
Yeah.
I'm well pleased. I ended up with 60 points.
Okay.
So, but I didn't change anything. So, I'm probably gonna have to do a transfer. At the
I've done
moment,
2.
I'm looking at possibly Andreas because he's had a knock.
Yeah, he's on the bench.
Yeah, but he's 75% at playing. So I'm looking at him. I'm like, I don't know who I'm going to change. I'll probably swap someone out and find a cheap striker.
I've done 2
most likely Greenwood.
transfers, but we'll come to that in the last part of the show, and then we can go through who's got what, or what they're going to do. So, obviously, we saw what Darwin Núñez did, Johnny, with his pretending to Glasgow kiss Joachim Andersen. It's kind of, you have to get rid of him now, don't you, on the FPL thing? 3 games out, 9 million. You can't really keep someone in that amount of money, can you?
No, you certainly can't. I mean, it wasn't a good challenge. I mean, it's not good to say, but I was pleased that he got a red card because he was doing so well. And it kind of makes me happy that people have to sell him, because I was a bit worried about him as I don't own him. I mean, in terms of options you could go to, if I can discuss that now, is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I think unless you're going to go up to a premium striker like Harry Kane or Haaland, if you don't have one, probably the best budget striker is probably Tony at Brentford.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think in his next sort of 4 or 5 fixtures, they're all pretty good.
And Brentford got Fulham, haven't they?
They do,
Yeah.
I can't remember the rest of their fixtures, but I think they have a fairly good run in the next couple.
We had an easy game on Saturday night, didn't they? So.
We won't talk about that.
I was surprised that he got a couple of assist points, didn't he, Tony? But he didn't score. But
no, he didn't.
That's the thing about Brentford, like in Burmo and Tony are the ones to go for. You either got which one to go for, really, and they're both realistically cheap. And if you go, like I went really for the big ones. Like, so up front, I had Haaland, Núñez, or however we say his name now, Núñez. Because apparently we've been saying it wrong when we say Núñez.
No, I just call him Darwin.
Charles. And I have got the future Golden Boot winner, Gabriel Jesus. So, but obviously now my team is a bit more balanced because Charles Darwin's had to go. So yeah, I'm actually alright with my team now, to be fair.
Yeah.
So do we have any comments, Lottie?
Not at the moment, Georgie. But on that subject, like obviously Wolves have just bought Goncalo Guedes. I was just having a look on the app and they've registered him as a midfielder, which is really odd because they've only got one striker registered.
Oh, I'm impressed with your pronunciation of his name because I struggled to say that one.
Yeah, that's why we get Lottie on for, to be fair, so pronunciation of his first name.
Yeah, it's Portuguese. I'm normally okay with it.
But what? A Portuguese player playing at Wolves? Never.
George, your sarcasm's brilliant as always.
Never. But talking about another player that's going to be playing in the Premier League. Well, he was in the Premier League, but he couldn't even get in the Swansea team. Nottingham Forest have just signed Morgan Gibbs-White for a fair bit of money. So that's another player, a cheapish player that could come. Nottingham Forest, FPL-wise, it's going to be really hard to pick because they've bought like 40 players.
Yeah.
You don't know who's really... Like, Dennis has left you boys, Johnny, and gone to Forest.
Well, Dennis is a bit of an enigma, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's still fairly expensive, though. He's gone up to 6. He's normally 5.5 when Watford are up. So looking at the app now,
That's been probably because he was like their main striker, wasn't he? And then because with like he scored a few handful of goals, so it adds up to his his value.
Personally, I wouldn't go near him.
No, I didn't. Obviously, Núñez had to go, so I brought in a striker, and I can clarify to everyone, it was not Dennis. and it wasn't Kane either. So, can you? Obviously, Matty Cash obviously is doubtful as well. So, if anyone has him, like I do, well, I did have. He's gone now. So, these Aston Villa players are like, I don't know if you agree, Johnny. They're not been that great, have they? Like FPL wise, like Cash, Coutinho, Watkins. If you've got him, you're getting away with it. But apart from the strikers, you're not really getting much for value.
Well, no, I mean, if we start with Coutinho, I mean, I think last season all of his big scores came against teams that were in the bottom half of the table. And to me, I think those kind of fixtures for him are running out. Because who's he got at Crystal Palace? And then he starts playing some of the big boys, doesn't he? At the top end of the table. So I think probably if you own Coutinho, you could let him play again.
Well,
yeah. So if he does play, you could play him against Palace if he's declared fit, and then probably get rid. And with the defenders, I mean they're good attacking wise, but I mean Luca Dean, he scored an own goal, didn't he? So he's a bit of a troll player. Well, it was quite funny because I know lots of people own Cash, so they lost their clean sheet. So that was also quite funny.
Well, I had Cash, and last season he was really, really good. Like he got me quite a lot of points, so I was not thinking about getting to get rid of him. But when I was looking and seeing he's not really worth the value at the minute. It might be worth bringing him in later or in a couple of weeks or when he starts doing things. But what do you think about Villa FPL wise, Lottie?
Do you know what? I don't touch Villa players. I just don't. I mean, I had Emi Buendia for a couple of games like last season. Absolutely nothing. So I thought, do you know what? I'm not touching this club anymore. Looking at their current top players, I mean, if you haven't got Watkins, Ings, or irony is Emi Buendia, there's literally no point. They're not cashing in the points. Most of them are on 3-4 points. Watkins, Buendia, Ings are all on more.
Yeah.
I just don't touch Villa. I'm not the greatest fans. I did have, when I was playing around with the teams, I did put Mings in and I thought, no, don't trust him.
Steven Gerrard don't like him.
Huh?
Steven Gerrard don't like him at the minute.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's not the biggest fan of Emi Buendia at the moment. Didn't do anything in the first game. Was put on in the second game and he scored within a half hour that he was on. So,
I went Leon Bailey because in pre-season they was playing him as that person just behind the striker and he was actually doing all right. And since the Premier League started, he ain't done nothing. So
I have him as well, and I thought I listened to Gerrard's press conference quotes, and it sounded like he was bigging him up. So I thought he was going to start the match against Everton,
but just bigging him up and everything, wasn't he? I think I might have heard the same one saying, "No, he's going to offer a more potential threat. He could be like a surprise package." And he ain't. He's still crap. But then Villa have not been great in the first two games. I don't think they've been that great, really.
No.
We'll come to a shock person or surprise person price-wise, and he's doubled in the amount of squads he's gone into. Is actually Ben Mee, Lottie.
I haven't got Ben Mee.
Yeah,
but,
4.5 million at Brentford, and he hit 14 points against Man United because he scored and got a clean sheet. So a lot of people saying him. What do you reckon?
A lot of people have jumped on it because he's had one good game. If he does that consistently, I might actually consider bringing him in. Yeah. But a state of Man United, and I'm not surprised they picked up 14 points.
And they got Fulham this weekend, so
yeah. But that's I think that's more. I'm just going to sound really bad, but it's like a more level playing field. It's anyone's game, whereas Brentford are miles ahead of Man United at the moment in the state they're in.
Bristol City are miles ahead of Man United. Well, Man United are that bad. Even Harry Potter's thinking about buying them.
I hope not.
That's Ron Radcliffe. But Like, I think Brentford defensively could be, if you can get your way into it. Like, I've got Raya, and I was kind of blessed with my 2 goal kickers because I had Sanchez on the bench who got me 6, and then David Raya got me 7. So, and they were like 4.5 million each. I feel a bit bad because I normally go Ramsdale, but it's kind of paying me off to be having Martinelli in my team.
Yeah.
So I can't really complain. 16 points in 2 game weeks. So
I'm considering swapping Saka for Martinelli at the moment, but my team's called Moves Like Saka, and I can't remove him. So
I can't take my Bukayo out.
No.
It'd be like an electronic
I'm
divorce.
thinking about removing Odegaard, but Odegaard is consistent. So
it'd be like an electronic divorce if I took Saka out. Yeah, can't do that. But and it gives you more options, more flexibility with that sort of thing.
Yeah, I feel criminal for not having Smith Rowe this season. I feel absolutely criminal.
When he starts playing, I'm sure you'll bring him back in.
We'll see.
He played for the under-21s and he looked miles off of it. So hopefully,
I think it's the fitness issue there, to be honest.
Yeah. So we've covered all of that. So we'll talk about the game week 3 that's coming up now. Start with you, Johnny. Out of the games we've got, is there anyone that you think could shine?
Well, I mean, I think Cucurella, who did well last week, I think he'll continue. Yeah, so I think that's a good fixture if you've got him to play him. I think he had, in terms of stats, about 0.4 expected goal involvement. It's pretty impressive for a defender. And Leeds aren't the best defensively, so if you have him, I'd put some money on him doing well.
Yeah. I think Chelsea Leeds. That's if Chelsea turn up, that could be a very profitable. If you've got Chelsea assets defensively or attacking wise.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not 100% Chelsea will keep a clean sheet in it because Leeds haven't looked too bad in attack. But either way, if you've got a Chelsea wing back, you can get goal. Well, you can get defensive returns or attacking returns, can't you? So
yeah. I think if Chilwell starts, I'll have a clean sheet. That's because I'm probably very anti Cucurella. I don't like him. But Chilwell, everyone's said to me, "Oh, he's finished. First game week, 10 points. Thank you."
I think Ben Chilwell, realistically, is probably the left back England are going to be going into the World Cup if he can stay fit.
Yeah, 100%.
So also, what other games do we have? Obviously, you've got Arsenal, Bournemouth. Anyone that you think, Lottie, that will... and I'm going to test you. I'm going to say, right, anyone that you think that will shine apart from the obvious one?
Zinchenko.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Zinchenko. I was so impressed with him the other day. The obvious one, he just plays beautiful football, and I'm glad he's found his spark back. But, I'm going to go with Zinchenko.
I think Jasper's playing really well.
Well, he did look good, didn't he,
How
Jacka?
dare you?
He did. He did look good.
I know who she means. But I think at Arsenal, I think Erdegaard's going to do really well on Saturday because this is kind of game. This is kind of game, the way Bournemouth play and stuff, like them Dennis Bergkamp-esque passes what Erdegaard can do and just split defences, and then obviously we've got Jesus that can run through, even Martinelli. Since I said Martinelli has to score more goals, he ain't stopped scoring. So, and I'm hoping that Smith Rowe and Vieira will be on the bench, and then my mate Eddie for Tom, he can come on and score. So,
we're still waiting for that first one, aren't we?
Yeah, he'll score 9. He'll score 18 in Europa League group stages, and then score. Cup games. Yeah, and then he'll score the first game when we're all back with Tom. He'll score the 19th goal.
And then,
Done.
yeah. And then
Yeah.
Tom's not in the chat tonight, so
Probably still asleep or in the pub. But
probably.
but yeah, right. And then we've got Monday night we've got Liverpool Man United.
Hmm.
I'm still captaining Salah because I think they would have had a flea in their ear after their two performances, which have been, apart from atrocious, really, from
Who would have
Liverpool
thought
standard.
going into game week 3, Man United and Liverpool still looking for their first win?
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
Great.
So, what do you think, Johnny? Do you think it's going to be a profitable time for Liverpool, or do you think United might get anything?
Well, from an FPL perspective, I think it's good that Darwin's not in the team. Well, unless of course you owned him, but if Firmino is fit, which I think he will be, he tends to bring the players in more. So I suspect Salah will have more chances and Luis Diaz. So I think from an attacking point of view, it will be good. And then defensively, it hasn't been amazing for them so far, but
No.
Man United haven't really shown anything in attack. And
there's actually talk if Firmino doesn't play, they're going to play Salah as a through the middle. Diaz on one side, and that is his name Carvalho.
Yeah. Well, Fulham player, ex-Fulham player.
Yeah, so they've got options, and they've Liverpool, Man United. You can never call them sort of games because I know all jokes aside, we say Liverpool can smash United, but on paper they probably should. But it's a derby at the end of the day, so Ronaldo likes turning up for his derbies, and Scott McTominay and people like that. So I don't know, it'll be an interesting one. I don't think it's going to be as clear cut as everyone thinks.
I just want Liverpool to tear them a new one again.
I know. I take a 2 or 3-0 and Salah grabs them all and Arnold sets them up and clean sheet.
That would be decent.
Yeah, but, and also I can review Lottie a different game. We've got Man City are playing, and it's just completely gone right out of my head.
Newcastle.
Thank you, Johnny. So, what do you think of that game?
I've completely benched Trippier. I don't want him anywhere near my starting 11.
Yeah, he's still in my team at the moment.
But I have got Haaland and I have got Gamarish and Cancelo. So it's going to be interesting for that game. I don't know who's going to get what, but I'm hoping Cancelo is up for it because he's I think he averages about 7-point-something points.
Yeah.
During that fixture. So I saw it on the app earlier, but I can't remember the exact figure. It might be wrong.
I don't know whether to replace Trippier on the bench and bring in James Justin against Southampton, or make Cash, who's doubtful, against Crystal Palace.
I mean, Leicester are a bit suspect at the back, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
So where Justin plays as a right wing back, I don't know. We'll see. I'll probably make this decision at 5 to 11 on Saturday.
You've already got it.
That's the best way to do it, isn't it?
No, it's not. It stresses me out. I don't. I'd rather just do it. And this is why I'm doing these why we're doing these shows, because technically, most of my decisions should be done by this show. Because last week we had Sam who done a transfer on live. And
I did it in the show.
Obviously, I can't do it live because I can't come off the screen, but I did do my 2 transfers just before the show. So we'll start. I know you guys may not have done them yet, but just to finish off, unless Lottie has anything else to say afterwards, we'll go through what your teams are going into game week 3. So Johnny, do you know yours?
Oh, well, hopefully I can get it right. So currently I have Ramsdale, Cancelo, Walker, James, Robertson. Have I missed any? I think that's all the defenders.
Yeah.
Then in the midfield, I've currently got Neto, Salah, Martinelli. Up top, I've got Haaland and Jesus.
Cool.
So that's my current team. So I don't think that's too bad.
Neto's an interesting one.
Well, yeah, that brings me on to my transfers. So
Okay.
I'm probably going to take Robertson out and bring in Cucurella. So,
Yeah.
and then bring Neto up to Luis Diaz.
Yeah. I
That sounds good.
get why you do that.
Yeah, because I mean Neto was a bit of a punt, but
And it was a cheap option, wasn't it? Like it was like 5 million or something. So
but it hasn't. I mean, he still has good fixtures to come. Well, not the one against Tottenham, but after that.
But you don't know how Wolves are going to do you? Like for like attacking wise, because like, and there's talk of Pedro Neto leaving as well. So if he leaves, a team that's after a winger has been linked with him. So that's Arsenal, because every winger in the world we get linked with. So, but I don't want him at Arsenal.
No,
I think we can do a lot better than that.
Yeah.
The young Villarreal winger is the one that, if they can get anyone, I'd go for. But I need to learn to pronounce his name because I don't want to ruin it. So, Lottie, who do you have so far?
I've got Rayo in goal. I've got Trent,
Copycat.
Cancelo and Chilwell at the back.
Yeah,
Across the middle, I've got Saka, Gamarish, Salah, Odegaard. Andreas is questionable at the moment because he's had a knock.
Yeah.
75% chance of playing. But he's at home to Brentford. And then I've got Jesus and Haaland up top. If Andreas doesn't play, I'm going to have Nico Williams against Everton.
Copycat.
Go in the back.
well, that's probably quite a good fixture to play him in, though, isn't it? So I'd be happy enough with that.
If you don't get nothing there, then you're in problems. The problem with Nico Williams, he's an option that you just have to have because he's 4 million.
Yeah, he's
a wing back.
That's
he's like the James Justin when James Justin was smashing it when he first done it, and like the Wolves player. So
yeah, no,
definitely. Well, I don't have Nico in my squad.
I really enjoyed watching him the other day. He was brilliant. When Forest were at home, it's just enjoyable to watch him play. To be honest, and Dean Henderson was on fire as well.
Cool. And just let you know, West Ham have just gone 1-0 up. It's Viborg.
Oh, nice.
Who scored, do you know?
George, before we come to your team, can I just whiz through some of these comments?
Yeah. Samaka scored.
So we've got Will Brooklyn, Luis Diaz or Kuleveski.
It's a tricky one, to be honest, but I'd probably just go for Luis Diaz.
I don't want Spurs players on my team this season. I'm going to try not
to. Who is that comment from?
Will Brooklyn.
Okay, cool. Thank you for watching.
Sam, yes, gang, how are we doing? I'm coming after you, Lottie. That's James Woodford. Only got 2 points. Do you know what? I got the same thing. I put all.
Who's coming after you, Sam?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Sam says, Johnny, and I think that's meant to be an if they offer a transfer, don't take it.
Oh, I wonder what that was referring to.
Basically, last week we didn't tell Sam to do it, we suggested it, and it kind of backfired.
Do you have any suggestions for me? That could be quite fun to hear.
The thing is, you'd have to pick a player you'd want to get rid of.
If you had James Maddison instead of Neto.
Yeah.
Against Southampton. Or James
Walker. Where does it go for 6 mil? I have no idea what you're going to play like.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this is Austin. I'm keeping Haaland and Trippier can do one.
Is that Austin?
Yeah, your brother.
Oh, you actually woke up with your team, Austin, because I looked at it and Christensen was still in there. Hold on, he left years ago.
No.
Why did he pick Christensen?
I don't know. I think with Austin, he picked it when we all started doing stuff, like when the season started. And then
he forgot about it.
Unless it's the Leeds Christensen, but he didn't do nothing either.
Probably.
But thanks for watching, Austin.
And that's everything, Georgie.
Cool. Right, so Georgie, I'll come to.
Come on, tell me. Tell me who you've copied off my team.
Well, I'm excited to hear your transfers.
So I got David. I got Raya.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I had him first, but
no, you didn't. I did.
I did. Thank you. So then I've got Trent Alexander-Arnold, who I had first. Then I've got Nico Williams, who I had first.
Whatever, George. Just doesn't matter. Just say you've got.
Reece James.
Ugh. Do you know, every time I get him, he gets a red card, so I'm not touching him.
But every time I get Reece James, I finish him.
Yeah, you do.
Last
To be
season, whenever
fair.
I pick him, he does nothing. When I don't even want to
He
pick
curses
him,
him.
he gets like double
Anybody who's
figures.
got Reece James, don't take him out your team.
Yeah,
is
so
going this week.
George has struck again. I've got Kieran Trippier in at a minute, but obviously that could be replaced with someone. Then I've got Mo Salah as captain, Gabriel Martinelli, Bukayo Saka. Then I've got Erling Haaland, Ivan Toney, and Gabriel Jesus. And it leaves me with 800 grand. So then when I want to get rid of Bailey next week, because it's rubbish, I can have a bit more of a balanced team. So then technically I only really have like Andreas Pereira, and that's quite cheap. And then, but if Leicester can sort themselves out, James Justin, if he stays fit, he could offer something, because at the end of the day, England international was only 4.5 million. So
that's bargain.
Yeah, so I'm hoping hopefully Tony does something. So, but I thought 7 million for Tony, it literally balanced the team out, and you notice the difference when you get rid of one of your luxuries players. I was trying to see if I could get Sterling, but then I thought, nah. Or Havertz, someone like that.
With them two, I find that they're really hit and miss. I don't
couldn't
trust
afford
them before.
Havertz anyway.
Yeah, no, although he has been named as a differential for this week, so...
Yeah, but he's at 8, I think he's at 8 million
one
or
to
something
watch.
like that. Yeah.
He's a one to watch, so...
I had 7.8, so I just put 7 million on Tony. Even if he gets a couple of assists, like 8 or 9 points, better than nothing. So,
well, yeah, I think he is probably the best option at that price.
Best of the rest, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, in Burmo, I was thinking about him, the other Brentford striker, the one who scored last week. But
haven't they signed a player who might take minutes off him?
Yeah,
I can't think of what his name is now.
They signed a midfielder, didn't they, called Damsgaard, the one who played for Denmark. I think he's a replacement for Eriksson. But like, what I always try and hold back on is like, if I've got that 0.8 to hold in good stead, you don't know who's going to sign from now until the 1st of September either. So there could be someone like that comes in, like Matthias Nunez. He could be a good person to bring in, or it's just, you just don't know. Like, it's
Man United are linked to Casemiro, aren't they?
I think they've got more chance of signing Pavarotti, mate, to be fair.
Well, he wouldn't be any good in FPL, but
no, you never know. End it on a tune, wouldn't it? So, but I don't know. Man United, they're more. It seems like they're more concerned about selling their club than who they're going to buy. But like that, for example, they could bring in, say, Anthony from Ajax, and then that's another forward option. Or Liverpool could bring in someone. Arsenal could bring in another midfielder or a right winger. I'll tell you, and this will probably make people laugh. I'll tell you who's not a bad, cheap option to have in FPL.
Come on. You can upset people now. Come on in. Come on, upset me.
He's been playing for Arsenal a lot forward than he normally does.
Oh, that's not going to upset me. I mean, credit's due where it's due, George.
And
but I still
it's
don't like
Xhaka.
him.
And what I mean with Xhaka is like the way... I think that the other teams are a bit confused because they're seeing Xhaka in the penalty box. Hold on, man, what are you doing here? Right.
Yeah.
But I think he's like 5 million. He's not much. Like, if you can, as a cheap alternative, I don't mean for him to start all the time. But
well, he will start all the time. That's the problem.
No, like in your team, like in your actual team.
Yeah.
Well, since you two are Arsenal fans, if Tierney comes back into the team, is Zinchenko going to play where Xhaka plays?
No.
I don't think so. I think it's going to be a fair rotation because Tierney is, as I put this, is fragile. He's so injury prone.
He's injury prone. He done his knee getting out the shower last season.
Abdi's just dropped in the chat 34, 34, 34.
Who said that?
Abdi.
Abdi.
Yeah,
He's
he's
still
5 million,
United, chap.
Georgie.
But like
George,
I just
did you hear that, mate?
what's that?
It's 5 million.
Oh, is it? That's
Yep.
not too bad. To be fair. Obviously, I wouldn't get him because I've got Martinelli, Bakayo, Baby, and Jesus. But
Yeah, I've got Odegaard. The other
Just
two I've got.
like just keep an eye on that because the way Arsenal are playing at the moment, Partey is sitting in doing what he's meant to be doing, and then Jack is playing like an 8.5. So, who was the other person I was looking at as well? Keep an eye on Rodrigo. I don't mean against Chelsea. We probably can't score now. Said that. But I think Bamford got gone off injured, so 6 million or something like that for Rodrigo as their only attacking option, like centre forward wise, decent.
What do you think? What about De Silva, Georgie?
I was going to say, what do I think of Tottenham then? I say, hold on, it's not past 9 o'clock.
No, I said De Silva. De Silva.
The ex-Arsenal one?
No,
Brentford
the one
one.
Plays for Brentford, yeah.
Yeah, he's played for Arsenal.
Yep.
Yeah, I had him before the season started at 4.5 million. I thought, I ain't going to do nothing. Took him out, he scored 2 goals. So he could be one that if you want to swap, he'd be like an automatic replacement, I think, for Andreas, someone like that. That is someone I might think to get rid of. And or if you can, because you can build dream teams sort of in FPL, but you just have to be really clever.
Yeah, and how you do it.
Kind of know your football sort of thing. Like, it'd be interesting if Abdi's still watching to get his ideas on budget players, and we will get him onto a show because he knows his stuff. But I'm being nice with the ain't here.
Budget players aren't really so important this year because the you can get a team full of top 5 teams.
Yeah.
You can do that anyway this season because of the prices.
Yeah. But if you look, like you're getting, for most people, you're getting a Trent, a Salah, a Jesus, Stacker, and potentially someone like a Cancelo or a James, even a De Bruyne potentially in your team.
Reasonable prices.
Like I think 7.5 million for Trent Alexander-Arnold is a bit much, but
no, it's a bit cheap.
No, I think it's a bit too much.
Looking across the board, a lot of people have been able to have Salah, Haaland, Jesus.
I mean, my starting
Nunes,
11 next week has no players outside the top 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like for me, but Trent Alexander-Arnold 7.5 million for a defender, that's a lot for me.
Yeah.
But if you like,
but he was the 3rd highest point scorer in the game last season.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. That's probably
and
why
he's done that for about 3 years.
What's Cancelo?
7.
That's what I thought they would have been the same, really.
Yeah.
But even James 6. Like I just got James for 6 million, and that's not a lot, really. Not in comparison. James was doing bits. Then you look at Arsenal, like Gabriel, I think he's 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and he was the highest, unless I'm wrong, but he was the highest scoring defender in the Premier League last season. So some of it don't make sense to me. Like Sterling at 10 million, I kind of get because of where he's come from. Bruno, I thought he would have dropped a little bit more.
Yeah, do you know what? I'll be honest with you. I would have thought Kane would have dropped this season.
I thought Son would be a lot more than what he is.
Yeah, I think what surprised me is Richarlison's price has gone up because he's moved to that lot up the road.
Idiot anyway.
Yeah, I know. Rolls around on the floor half the time. I mean, he's got 8.5. He was only 6 last season.
I hated him at Everton and Watford. Yeah. So
well, he's gone to the perfect club then, isn't he?
He's just added to it.
Even like Calvert-Lewin, he's injured, but he's still 8 mil.
Yeah,
and he didn't really perform last season, so surely that should be dropping.
Yeah, I don't, like Abdi might know if he's still watching, like how they work out the price values.
Yeah.
If we'll try and work out for you guys how they work, but
Mm-hmm.
because you don't really see a 7 or 8 million goalkeeper, do you?
No.
Like, I don't know what Alisson was when he was clean sheet after clean sheet, but I don't think it was at that
He
price.
started at 6 last season with Edison
So
and
realistically,
Mendy. But I think the issue they have with goalkeepers is if you put them at 6 in a normal season, nobody's going to buy them because they're too expensive.
Like Ramsdale was 4.5 million when he first signed for Arsenal.
Yeah, which was too cheap.
Yeah.
But
It's a bargain.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and
I think
it's
the
like
same
sort of,
thing's going to happen with David Raya as well.
yeah, well, it's like Raya and Sanchez at Brighton. They're very good value for what they offer.
Yeah, and then Robert Sanchez is the one who's value for money for me, and Lewis Dunk. So, like them sort of Brighton assets. Like because Brighton defensively are a decent side, so if you could bring them in, I think you're kind of laughing a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But anyway, on that note, so one final thing, and then we'll hand over to Lottie in case she wants to talk about anything else. So, we'll do the in and bin. So, Johnny, what this is for the actual game week. There's one person we keep that you think you should bring in, one person that you think should definitely go. So I'll go first. So I would say Ivan Toney to bring in. And I'm not going to go obvious with Nunez because that's just realistically very obvious. But I am going to go for to get rid of Coutinho.
Not bad.
Okay.
So, who do you reckon, Johnny?
In Cucurella, I think he's a good.
You're obsessed with Cucurella.
Well, I
it
think
must
he's
be the hair.
he does have good hair.
No, it really doesn't.
Romero knows that.
Well, actually, most people don't really know what his hair looks like, but
Even Romero knows that. He pulled his hair. And
he did, didn't he?
Yeah, it's been Romero approved.
He's injured.
I think he's a good short-term punt at least.
Yeah.
And then we'll see what happens.
How much is
with Chilwell.
Cucurella?
5.
Oh, is he?
It's not a bad price.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
And then, there was the other one's bin, isn't it? I've been Bailey at Aston Villa.
Yeah. Cool. And we'll finish with you, Lottie.
I'd bin Ward for Leicester off, and I'd bring in Dean Henderson.
Yeah, that's a good one. I was thinking about Henderson.
Yeah, I did. He's got a point to prove. And the Man United fans are still...
Oh, it's all about big, dangerous Dave, isn't it, in goal?
Yeah.
But obviously I've got Sanchez and Raya, so I'm kind of happy with my goalkeepers at the moment.
Oh, you're back, George.
Yeah, I realised there was no light on. So
yeah.
You should have just told me. I forget.
Sorry, George.
I'm like a vampire. I sit in the dark. Don't bother me. But,
So do I.
To be fair, I am as well. If it wasn't for the window behind me, George, you wouldn't see me.
Okay. No worries. Is there any more final comments before we hit the road?
Abdi said he'll definitely come on, and with pricing, it's this is Abdi again. With pricing, it varies. It's something I'd have to explain on a show. Too much to type.
You lazy git. Well, that's fine, because when we have the next show, if you can do next week, the floor is yours. It's going to be called the Abdi Price Roundup. The price is right from Abdi.
Okay. Does this mean I'm going to have to referee you two?
No, because I don't have a clue how it works.
Yeah, I know.
Refereeing is only on the Premier League previews or reviews but there's one that's coming out, a collab what we're meant to be doing for Arsenal Man United, so that could be interesting with another channel. So
that's gonna be fun.
But we're back from, if it all comes off, we're going to take Abdi over to Arsenal Fans Forever for a collab for Arsenal Man United. So
It
could be
fun.
interesting. But yeah, cheers for that, Abdi. That would be cool. Has he said anything else, or is he still trying to type?
He said that his phone's battery is very low. Would have hopped on otherwise.
No worries, mate. There's plenty of other shows you can have on. We'll have you as a special guest when you're bottom of the league or something. Oh no, sorry, they already are. So, on that note, and he knows I love him really, but a draw at the weekend on a footballing point of view wouldn't be too bad, because then they're both in the bottom three. So, if we win, on that note, we will. So, where can people find you, Johnny, on social media places?
Oh well, I'm not on Twitter, so I'm an invisible man.
Yeah, that's what they say at Goalball as well, apparently.
Do they?
Yeah. That's probably me, because I don't end up. I'm not there anymore because I'm always at cricket or starting football.
No, you have to come along again, George. You have to come along again.
Yeah, I will do. Obviously, football for Brighton starting up soon, so got to start going to that. But then if Goalball is, I'll try and pop along.
Mm-hmm.
Lottie, where can the lovely people find you?
Find me here every Thursday with you.
Oh.
Or on Twitter.
Apart from here.
Oh, you can find me on Twitter at Lottie_B10. That's LOTTIIE_B10.
Cool. And you can find me at ClockendGeorge. And if you're not sick of me yet, I'm actually doing another show after this. So I'm actually going on Arsenal Fans Forever to do the Cannon and Paul show. So if you guys need a laugh and stuff like that, go over to there at about 9 o'clock. And yeah, I'll be there. But obviously, please like this video, subscribe, follow us at Golden Goal TV on Twitter, and everything. It all helps the channel and stuff. We're on 95 subscribers, so 5 more, and we're in the 100. So that would be really appreciated. And if you have any questions or you want to come on, just drop us a message on Twitter, or if you have any of our details on our Facebook group. I think we have an email address. I think
so.
Yeah.
I don't know it off the top of my head, George. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, I haven't got.
But do you want to tell everybody the
pretty
Twitter
sure.
handle?
I think there's a link tree thing.
Yeah.
So if not, we're quite easy to get hold of. So we have our WhatsApp group, we have Discord server where we do football quizzes and stuff, if that kind of gets your interest. And we have the WhatsApp group where we have hundreds and hundreds of messages, and people like Johnny and Lottie just read the messages and don't talk. So that's the best place to be.
Audacity. Excuse me, I don't mean to be funny. You miss one message in that group, that's it. You've had it for the day. You know what? I looked at my WhatsApp group today, and you guys have 999 messages on my phone.
It's an emergency, isn't it? And it ain't even hardly me. It's normally that's all probably transfer talk. Yeah, that's the amount of players Man United have been linked with today. But yeah, so we will be back next Thursday. But obviously for the FPL show. It's not an FPL show anymore, is it? It's called Off the Bench.
Yeah, it's Off the Bench.
I keep calling it the wrong name. So next week I will actually get the right name of the show. And then tomorrow, please tune in for tomorrow, because you wanted fireworks. Premier League preview. We have an Abdi who supports Man United. And we have a Dan who supports Liverpool. So me and Hubert sitting back, getting toffee popcorn out.
Ding.
Yeah. So please.
I don't think it's going to be that bad. It's more George on the wind-up, guys. But that's always good fun. That's definitely a popcorn thing. It's
a 6 pointer, isn't it, at the bottom of the table?
Yep.
So, yeah, join us tomorrow at 8 p.m. And I bid you all farewell and good luck at the weekend. Adios.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.